She wants to want it. That is what most women will never say out loud and what most men never realize. The desire is there. It is not gone. It is not disappeared with age or time or the accumulated weight of a long relationship. It is present, real, and in most cases far more alive than either partner fully appreciates. But something keeps getting skipped. Something that has to happen first before anything else, and without which everything that follows falls flat. Without which the touch that should feel electric feels merely physical. Without which the closeness that should feel like surrender feels like obligation. Without which she lies there wanting to want it and not quite getting there. And he lies there wondering what he is doing wrong, that something is not a technique, it is not a position, it is not a product or a pill or a perfectly chosen word. It is a specific neurologically grounded research-confirmed process that her body needs to move through before physical intimacy can land the way both of you want it to. I am going to tell you exactly what that process is, and I am going to show you how to make it happen consistently, naturally, and in a way that transforms your intimate life from the inside out. Now, let's get into the science. The architecture of female arousal. To understand the number one thing she needs first, you first need to understand something fundamental about how her arousal works. Because here is the truth that most men were never told, and that changes everything once you truly absorb it. Female arousal does not work the way male arousal works. Not slightly differently, fundamentally differently. At the neurological level, at the physiological level, at the level of what the brain needs to happen before the body can respond. Let me give you the science clearly and practically. Research by Dr. Emily Nagoski, one of the world's leading sex researchers, describes what she calls the dual control model of sexual response. According to this model, every person has two neurological systems that govern sexual arousal: an excitation system and an inhibition system. The excitation system is the accelerator. It responds to sexual cues and moves the body toward arousal. The inhibition system is the brake. It responds to perceived threats, anything that registers as unsafe, pressured, uncomfortable, or emotionally wrong, and actively suppresses arousal. Here is the critical difference between men and women in this model. For most men, the inhibitory brake is relatively light. The accelerator is responsive. Sexual arousal can be triggered quickly, visually, and often with minimal emotional or contextual requirement. The system moves fast. For most women, particularly those in long-term relationships and particularly after menopause, the inhibitory brake is considerably more powerful. It is sensitive, it is always running, and it does not switch off just because she wants it to or because the moment seems right. What this means in the most practical possible terms is this: a woman's arousal cannot be accelerated into existence. It has to be allowed to emerge. The brake has to release before the accelerator can work. And the brake releases in response to very specific conditions. Conditions of emotional safety, felt attentiveness, unhurried physical presence, and the deeply registered sense that she is with someone who is focused entirely on her, rather than on where the encounter is going. There is more. Dr. Rosemary Bassin's research on female desire, work that has fundamentally changed how clinicians understand women's sexuality, shows that for most women, especially in long-term relationships and especially after menopause, desire is not spontaneous. It is responsive. This is a distinction that carries enormous practical weight. Spontaneous desire is what most people imagine desire looks like, a feeling that arrives on its own, unprompted, pulling the person toward intimacy. Men tend to experience desire this way more often and more reliably than women, particularly after the early years of a relationship. Responsive desire is different. It does not arrive first. It is triggered by the right context, the right emotional environment, the right quality of physical presence. The desire comes in response to something, not before it. What this means for you as her partner is both challenging and profoundly hopeful. It means that waiting for her to spontaneously want intimacy the way you might spontaneously want it is waiting for something that may rarely arrive on its own. But creating the conditions that trigger her responsive desire, building the right emotional and physical context, is entirely within your control. And when those conditions are consistently present, the desire that follows is genuine, deep, and far more reliable than anything spontaneous ever was. The question is, what does creating those conditions actually look like? And before I walk you through exactly what that is, I want to point you towards something. Because here is what I have come to understand after more than 10 years in this field. The conversation we are having today about her desire, about what she needs first, about closing the gap between you is one essential piece of a much larger picture. And most men are trying to solve that picture one piece at a time without the box, without the full image to work from, guessing at where each piece connects. I made a video that gives you the complete picture, every piece in order from beginning to end. It covers what is happening with your erections and your performance and exactly how to fix it. It covers the specific techniques that make a man over 60 not just capable in the bedroom, but genuinely extraordinary. And it covers precisely what we are talking about today: how to bring her desire to meet yours so that you are not the only one reaching across that quiet evening. It is the hand on your shoulder, step-by-step roadmap that nobody ever gave you. And I have put it all in one place. The link to that video is pinned in the comment section right now, and it is also in the video description below. Go there after this video. Watch it, because what you are about to learn today will make complete sense inside that larger framework. Now, let's get back to the gap and what fills it. That brings us to the arousal gap. The arousal gap is one of the most important and most consistently underestimated realities of intimate life after 60. And understanding it changes the entire way you approach your intimate relationship. Here is what it is. Research published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine documents a measurable difference in the time required for men and women to reach equivalent levels of physiological arousal. In younger couples, this gap averages between 10 and 15 minutes. He is there in 2, she needs 15. That is already a significant difference that most couples navigate imperfectly, and most men are never explicitly taught to manage. But here's what changes after 60 and why this matters so much for the men watching this today. After menopause, declining estrogen levels reduce vaginal lubrication, thin vaginal tissue, and slow the entire physiological arousal response in women. The arousal gap widens considerably. What took 15 minutes in her 30s may now take significantly longer. Not because desire has diminished, but because the physiology of arousal has changed. At the same time, men over 60 are often navigating their own challenges. Performance anxiety, concern about erectile response, a subtle but real pressure to perform that can make rushed, goal-oriented intimacy feel like the only safe approach. The result for many couples over 60 is a fundamental mismatch. He is moving at his pace. She needs a completely different pace. And because neither of them has been given the language or the knowledge to navigate that mismatch, the experience repeatedly falls short for both. She feels rushed, which triggers the inhibitory brake and shuts arousal down completely. He senses her disconnection, which increases his anxiety, which makes him rush more, and both of them end up further from the intimacy they both genuinely wanted. The arousal gap is not a problem to be frustrated by. It is a reality to be understood and worked with. And the number one thing I am about to share with you is the single most effective tool for closing it. Not by speeding her up, but by understanding what she needs first. The number one thing, the reveal. The number one thing men should always let her do first in the bedroom is this: let her arrive. Let her body, her mind, and her nervous system arrive fully in the intimate space before anything else begins. Before the escalation, before the directed touch, before anything that communicates a destination or a goal or a timeline, before all of it, let her arrive. Now, let me tell you exactly what that means in practice, because it is both simpler and more profound than it might initially sound. Arriving in the context of female arousal means the completion of a specific neurological transition. A shift from the state her nervous system is in when she comes to the bedroom, often carrying the residue of her day, her responsibilities, her mental load, her self-consciousness, her worries, to a state of genuine physical and emotional presence, open, receptive, released from the grip of the inhibitory brake. This transition cannot be forced. It cannot be hurried. It cannot be skipped. But it absolutely can be facilitated. And how you facilitate it, the quality of what you bring to those first minutes of physical closeness, is the single most impactful variable in the entire intimate encounter. Neuroscience research on oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is precise on this point. Women require a felt sense of emotional safety and connection for oxytocin levels to rise sufficiently to support genuine sexual arousal. And the physical touch that most effectively triggers oxytocin release is non-sexual, affectionate, unhurried, and entirely free of any perceived pressure or goal orientation. Touch that communicates urgency, that moves too quickly, that escalates before she has arrived, does not trigger oxytocin. It triggers cortisol, a low-level stress response that actively and measurably suppresses arousal. In other words, touch that skips the arrival process does not just fail to arouse her. It physiologically works against arousal. This is why so many men find that despite trying harder, moving more quickly toward the physical, doing what they believe is showing desire, the response they receive is flat or withdrawn. They are not doing the wrong thing with wrong intent. They are doing the right thing in the wrong order. Her body needs to arrive first. What does helping her arrive look like? It looks like 10 to 20 minutes at minimum of warm, present, non-directed physical closeness at the beginning of any intimate encounter. Holding her, being physically close to her without any movement toward escalation, letting your hands rest warmly on her back, her shoulders, her hair. Let your breathing slow. Let the room settle around both of you. This is not passive. This is active. An active creation of the physiological and emotional conditions her body needs to release the brake and allow desire to emerge. It looks like physical touch that is entirely about presence and warmth, not stimulation. Touch that communicates, I am here. I am in no hurry. You matter more to me than where this is going. It looks like maintaining eye contact. Soft, warm, held, not searching for a response, just present. It looks like words spoken quietly and specifically, not a script, not performance, just genuine, particular expressions of how you feel about her in this moment. And most importantly, it looks like patience that is not passive waiting, but active presence, fully there, fully focused, fully committed to this moment and nothing beyond it. When she feels all of that, when her nervous system registers it at the level below conscious thought, the brake releases, the oxytocin rises, the arousal response begins to move, and everything that follows lands completely differently than it would have if you had skipped to the destination. Why most men skip it, and the damage it causes if letting her arrive is so important, and the research is so clear about it. Why do most men over 60 consistently skip it? The answer is not selfishness. It is not a lack of care. It is a combination of very specific, very understandable factors that I want to name clearly because understanding why the mistake happens is the first step to stopping it. The first reason is biological programming. Male arousal, as we discussed, is faster, more visually triggered, more goal-oriented by neurological design. When a man is aroused, his entire system is oriented toward a destination, and the urgency of that orientation can make everything between initiation and destination feel like delay rather than a central process. This is not a character flaw. It is biology. But it is biology that needs to be understood and consciously managed in the context of a partner whose arousal architecture works entirely differently. The second reason is performance anxiety. Many men over 60 carry a low-level but persistent anxiety about their sexual performance, about whether they will maintain an erection, whether the encounter will go well, whether they will be adequate. And that anxiety counterintuitively makes them rush. They feel that getting to the physical quickly is somehow safer, that it reduces the window in which something can go wrong. In doing so, they skip precisely the process that would have made everything go right. The third reason is a fundamental misreading of her signals. When a woman is not yet aroused, when she has not yet arrived, her body gives signals that men consistently misinterpret as disinterest or rejection. She may be physically still, her breathing may be unchanged, her body may seem unreactive, and many men read that stillness as a sign that what they are doing is not working and respond by escalating or changing approach, when what the stillness is actually signaling is that she has not yet arrived and needs more time in the arrival space. The damage this consistent skipping causes is real and cumulative. When the arrival process is routinely skipped, she experiences intimacy as something that happens to her rather than something she participates in fully. The cortisol response triggered by rushed, goal-oriented touch gradually associates intimacy with a low level of discomfort or disconnection. Over time, she begins to avoid it, not because she does not want closeness, but because the closeness she has been offered has not met the neurological conditions her body requires for genuine arousal. And he, reading her avoidance as rejection, withdraws, further deepening the distance between them. This is not a relationship failure. It is an information failure, and information is exactly what today's video is providing: how to do it correctly. The full practical guide. Let me give you the complete practical guide for letting her arrive in a way that is natural, consistent, and transformative for your intimate relationship. Step 1. Begin before the bedroom. The arrival process does not start when you get into bed. It starts hours earlier in the quality of your presence during the day, in the small acts of warmth and genuine attention that tell her nervous system she is safe with you. A text during the day that is specific and warm. A conversation in the evening where you are fully present. No phone, no television, no distraction. A moment where you look at her and let her feel that she has your complete attention. These are not foreplay in the traditional sense, but neurologically, they are exactly that. They begin releasing the inhibitory brake before the intimate encounter even begins. By the time you come to the bedroom together, her nervous system is already warmer, already safer, already closer to the arrival state. Step 2, create the physical environment intentionally. The space matters, not extravagantly, but deliberately. Soft lighting, a comfortable temperature, privacy that feels genuine and not rushed. The absence of any element, a phone face up, a television on low, a sense that either of you might be interrupted, that communicates that this moment is not fully protected. When the environment communicates that this time is set apart, that nothing is competing with it. Her nervous system registers that safety and relaxes accordingly. Step 3, begin with full-body non-sexual holding. When you come together physically, begin with holding, not a brief hug before moving on. Actual sustained full-body holding. Your arms around her, her body against yours. Stillness, warmth, breath. Let this last. Do not move. Do not escalate. Simply be present in the physical closeness for a minimum of 5 minutes, ideally longer. Let your breathing slow together. Let the temperature between your bodies equalize. Let the day fall away from both of you. This is not nothing. This is neuroscience. This sustained, non-directed physical closeness is one of the most powerful triggers of oxytocin release available. It is actively, measurably moving her neurological state toward arousal. Step 4, let touch be exploratory and entirely non-directed. When you begin to move your hands, let them be curious rather than purposeful. Let them move over her back, her arms, her hair, her face, slowly, warmly, with full presence, not with a destination in mind, with genuine, unhurried attention to the physical experience of being close to her. Research on affectionate non-sexual touch in couples therapy consistently shows that this quality of exploratory, non-directed touch is the single most effective precursor to female arousal in long-term relationships. It communicates something that directed, purposeful touch cannot. That you are here for her, not for what she can give you. Step 5. Follow her body, not your timeline. As you remain in this space of warm, non-directed physical presence, pay attention to the signals her body begins to give, a deepening of her breathing, a slight shift in her weight toward you, a relaxation of muscle tension that was present when you first came together. These are not dramatic signals. They are subtle, but they are real physiological indicators that the arrival process is completing, that the brake is releasing. When you notice these signals, do not immediately escalate. Stay in the space a little longer. Let the arrival complete fully before moving. Step 6, let her lead the transition. Here is the most important practical instruction in this entire guide. Let her be the one who moves the encounter forward. Not always, not as a rigid rule, but as a consistent default. Because when she initiates the transition from the arrival space to something more, when she is the one who reaches for you, who shifts the dynamic, who communicates readiness through her body and her actions, it means the arrival process has done its work completely. Her inhibitory brake is released. Her responsive desire has activated. Her body is fully engaged. And what follows from that point is a completely different, intimate experience than anything that begins before she has arrived. More connected, more physically responsive, more emotionally present, more satisfying for both of you. This single shift, letting her lead the transition, is the most reliable indicator that the arrival process is complete. Trust it, wait for it, and when it comes, meet it with the same presence and attentiveness that got you both there. What men over 60 uniquely bring. I want to end the main content of today's video with something that most men over 60 have never heard about themselves in the context of intimacy. Something the research shows clearly and consistently, and that I believe every man in this age group deserves to know. Men over 60 are better positioned to do what I have described today than men of any other age group. I mean that without qualification. Let me explain why. The arrival process, the patient, unhurried, emotionally attuned, entirely presence-focused quality of physical closeness that female arousal most depends on, requires exactly the qualities that develop with age, experience, and emotional maturity. Patience. Not the performed patience of a man waiting to get somewhere, but the genuine settled patience of a man who has learned that the journey is the destination, that presence is its own reward. Attentiveness. The capacity to notice the subtle signals another person's body sends, the slight shift in breathing, the relaxation of tension, the small physical movement toward you, and to respond to those signals rather than to your own agenda. Emotional security. The freedom from the desperate performance-driven anxiety of younger years that allows a man to be genuinely present in an intimate space without the intrusive noise of self-monitoring and self-evaluation. These are not qualities that young men generally possess. They are qualities that are earned, developed, deepened through years of relationship, of loss, of self-knowledge, of learning what actually matters. Research on long-term relationship satisfaction confirms this directly. Studies show that men over 60 who are present, patient, and emotionally attuned during intimacy are rated by their partners as significantly more satisfying lovers than younger men who are physically capable but emotionally absent. Read that again and let it land. Emotionally present, patient, attuned. These are the qualities that make a man a great lover after 60. Not physical performance, not stamina, not the urgency of younger desire, presence, patience, attunement. You already have these qualities. What today's video is giving you is the framework to apply them in exactly the way your partner's physiology most needs. You are not at a disadvantage as a man over 60 in the intimate sphere. You are at an advantage, one that most men your age have never been told they possess. Claim it. Now, I want to talk to you about something important, because what I have shared with you today, the science of responsive desire, the dual control model, the arousal gap, the neuroscience of oxytocin, and the brakes. This is one piece of the picture, a vital piece, a foundational piece, a piece that will genuinely change the way you approach intimacy with your partner starting tonight. But it is one piece. And I know from 10 years of clinical work that men over 60 are not dealing with just one piece. You are navigating a constellation of things, some of which you may have been carrying quietly for years. The questions about erection and performance, the uncertainty about what is physical and what is psychological and what is fixable, the techniques that actually work, not for a 25-year-old, but for a man with your experience, your body, your relationship, and the deeper challenge of bringing her desire to meet yours consistently, sustainably, in a way that makes intimacy something you both reach for rather RA than something that requires negotiation. I have put all of it together in one place in one video. Every piece of this puzzle laid out in order from beginning to end with nothing skipped and nothing assumed. From fixing what isn't working to building what you want to have to sustaining the kind of intimate life that most men at this stage quietly believe is behind them. But that I know from everything I have seen in this work is absolutely not. Think of it as someone putting their hand on your shoulder and walking you through the complete picture step by step, piece by piece, until everything connects and makes sense. That video exists. The link to it is pinned in the comment section right now. It is also in the video description below this video. Go there after this. Watch it because everything I have shared with you today will make complete sense inside that larger framework, and what comes next will genuinely surprise you. I'm Dr. Julia Rodas. I'll see you in the next